Today, we're going to do something a little different. I'm going to try to predict the entire NFL season and also pick the eventual Super Bowl winner. If you're new here and see what you like, please drop a like and subscribe, and maybe I'll do some more sports stuff. I actually will do some more sports stuff. I love sports. I love the NFL. I figure if all the Japanese VTubers have baseball, I can have my football. I can be Merca and celebrate 6-foot men running at each other and at 40 miles an hour and just crashing into each other like a train wreck. It's great. But yeah, these are all my opinions, and I'm sure I'll get more wrong than not. Still a fun thought exercise, and my brainworms get to feast. I get to be overly analytical about something, and trust me, I did way too much analysis for something like this. So I'm going to be going just basically over each team as we go through these, kind of how I feel about them. I kind of looked into each of these teams, like how their coaches do based on their week one results after the bye. And you might think to yourself, well, what about primetime records and stuff like that? Shut up. I'm only going to do so much. This is already too much. But yeah, I'm just going to go down the list and basically, as we knock these games out, assess what I think of all these teams and who I think is going to win the games. So let's get into it. First game of the season, or at least on the AFC side, we have the Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, I happen to be a Seahawks fan, so I don't like Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh he's a dick. But if you had to have a dick running your football team, it's got to be Jim Harbaugh. He knows how to win, and he's going to keep you in games with good game plans and good preparations and everything like that. And this is one of those seasons where I feel like the Chargers, they're a team that feels like they're ready to make a push, but haven't been able to have their moment because the Chiefs have just been kind of in front of them the entire time. Yeah, they're a good to great team, but they haven't had their moment yet. I think they're due. Now, this is going to be an international game. They're going to be playing in Brazil, which messes things up just a little bit. You're basically robbing the Chargers of a home game, but what can you do? But I think traveling, we look at Jim Harbaugh. He's 4-1 all time in week one. Andy Reid, he's got a very solid week one record as well. Like he's like 10-2 or something. Kansas City, and he was even strong back with Philadelphia. But I'm going to switch things up. I'm going to say Chargers take week one. Steelers and Jets. The Jets are a dumpster fire, and their owner has a first and last name that both stand for penis. So they're obviously going to lose this game. I don't even really need to go too in depth about it. Aaron Glenn is going to lose his rookie head coach game one opener. Now, the Steelers, they could very well fall apart, but they get to start off good. Miami and Indianapolis is interesting because I think that Miami bottomed out and should rebound a little bit this year. They're going to be hopefully healthier. Meanwhile, on the Colts side, we don't know what's going to happen with Anthony Richardson. Apparently he's working with Hess, who was someone who helped Josh Allen with his throwing mechanics and helped him get to the level that he's at today. So if the Colts can fix Anthony Richardson, they could be really interesting this season. But I think week one, we're looking at, let's see here, Mike McDaniel is 3-0 in week one so far, and Shane Steichen is 0-2. I think that continues. I think that Mike McDaniel keeps winning in week one, and Shane Steichen drops another one in week one. We go with Miami. Okay, unless the Browns are giving the Bengals a surprise massage, I don't think there's really much of a game here. Kevin Stefanski is okay in week one. They're like 2-3. The Bengals are like 3-3. Neither one of these teams is really good in week one. Like they're at the very least, their coaches are not better on week one than at any other time. And if there's going to be any time for the Browns to beat the Bengals, it would be this week, I think. but I don't think it's going to happen. I just don't like the Browns at all. I don't think they have upside. New England and Las Vegas. I'm a big Pete Carroll fan. I think that he's a good coach. I think he's a good guiding hand. Ashton Genty is really exciting. And I think that Geno Smith is going to be a more than capable quarterback and probably the best, not even probably, he's going to be the best quarterback that they've had, maybe even since like Derek Carr's best seasons. I think that Geno Smith is really slept on. And as long as they can keep a workable offensive line in front of him, he is going to be good. They have pass rush with Max Crosby. Meanwhile, the Patriots, they bottomed out really hard last season. And while I think that Mike Vrabel will turn this team around, he is not the best week 1 coach. He's like 2-5, and they're not super talented right now. I think that Vegas takes it. We have a streak of away game wins happening right now. When are these home teams going to show up? Okay. Titans, week 1, rookie quarterback Cam Ward versus Denver Broncos. So let's see here. Denver, Sean Payton is 9-8 all time in week 1. He lost week 1 last year to Seattle because of course he did. So he's not necessarily better in week 1 than at any other time, but they're at home. The Titans are a team that is going to have to put in some work to get better. I'm going to go Denver in week 1. Really tough matchup in week 1. These are like 2 of the 3 best teams in the AFC right here. Buffalo and Baltimore. Now, Buffalo's at home, which is a big advantage. Sean McDermott all-time is 6-2 in week 1, but John Harbaugh is 12-5 in week 1. These are 2 teams that are very good at preparing for their week 1 opponents. I am going to say this is like one of those coin flip ones. This is going to be a great game to watch, but since we have 2 great coaches, or at least 1 great coach and 1 really good coach, you decide for yourself which one's which, and they're both good at preparing in week 1, and they're both super talented teams. I think the Bills are going to find a way to pull this one out, but I wouldn't be shocked if this goes either way. NFC games. Dallas sucks. When are you going to move on from Jerry Jones? You just need Jerry Jones to get out of the way. Eagles win. Nick Sirianni has never lost in week 1, I'm pretty sure. Let me confirm that. I don't want to lie. I'm not betting against that for Dallas, especially not with Brian Schottenheimer as a rookie head coach who should be disadvantaged in his first game. The Saints are nobody. Their quarterbacks are just a bunch of who's.
Who?
They're probably going to end up trading Alvin Kamara. I think Kellen Moore is a great coach, but this is just going to be a rebuilding, figure out your basics kind of year, and then just kind of hope that you get a good draft position. Cardinals take the win. Bucks Falcons. This is the second best game that third best game. The Chargers Chiefs was a pretty good one. Let's see here. Bucks Falcons. This one's close. It's in Atlanta. Let's see here. NFC South. So Raheem Morris all time is 2-3 in week 1, but Todd Bowles is 3-0 with Tampa and 5-2 all time in week 1, going back to his time with the Jets. I think Todd Bowles is a much better coach than a lot of people give him credit for. And while the Falcons are getting ready to challenge for the AFC South, I don't think the Bucks are ready to step out of the way just yet. They have plenty of offensive firepower. I'm a Russell Wilson believer, but I don't think that Russell Wilson and the Giants are going to take out Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders. But just to reaffirm, Dan Quinn is 2-4 all time in week 1, and I think he even lost week 1 last year, but that was also Jaden Daniels' rookie game, like his first game ever, so that's not great. But you come up to New York, Brian Dable. He's not good in week 1 either. At least he's not exceptional. He's 1-2 in week 1 games, so I don't think he's going to come up with some sort of master plan to take out the Commanders. I think that they take it at home. San Francisco and Seattle. You know, I said I'm a Seattle homer, but I have a reason to back up why I think that Seattle's taking this win. Kyle Shanahan is 2-4 all time in week one, and the game is in Seattle, which is one of the hardest home stadiums to play in the entire league. Mike McDonald proved he could win in week one by doing it against Sean Payton last year. Granted, that was Bo Nix's rookie game and Sean Payton's first game coaching the Broncos, but I'm confident that Mike McDonald is going to be able to play the chess match with Shanahan and pull out this win. Lions, Packers, another good one. I think the NFC North is one of the most difficult divisions in football to win, if not the most difficult, based off of last season, how you had 3 10-plus win teams in there. I still think that Detroit is on a high, but the Packers are one of those teams that I think are going to be gunning for Detroit and going to have the firepower to be able to do it. But Matt LaFleur is obviously a great coach in his own right compared to Dan Campbell. I think Dan Campbell is one of the best coaches in the league as far as just like motivating his guys to play hard, but he's 2-2 in week one. Matt LaFleur is 3-2. They're both pretty average, but Matt LaFleur has a slight statistical edge. This is an interesting one. I think I give it to the home team just because it's a push. If you're Detroit, you're just happy you don't have to play Green Bay in the dead of winter. Not that it's too bad for you because, let's be real, you live in Michigan, but still. And then lastly, for the NFC in this week, we have the Vikings and the Bears. I think that the Bears have the potential to be a lot better than people think. There's a lot of talent. There's some firepower here. I'm unsold on Ben Johnson as a head coach. I think he could be a very good offensive coordinator, but we have seen a bunch of great offensive coordinators fail to make the transition to being the leader of the entire team. That being said, the Vikings don't come without their own question marks. We have no idea how JJ McCarthy is going to do, and he's basically a rookie. So if I had to lean towards one, I'm going to lean towards the veteran coach. Kevin O'Connell is 2-1 in week one. You're going to be hopefully having a stronger run game this year. They picked up Jordan Mason, which I think is an underrated pickup that could pay dividends for them. You have weapons. You have Justin Jefferson. You have Jordan Addison. You have TJ Hawkinson. You're good. Like, if any team is set up for a rookie to have a good year, it is going to be the Vikings. So I'm going to give it to the away team in that one. And then lastly, for the interconference play, the Panthers are interesting. I need to see if they have made enough changes to their defense to be able to actually get to the quarterback with 4 rushers. They had to blitz way too much last year. It got them blown out over the top. The Jags have Trevor Lawrence. They have Brian Thomas. They can beat you over the top. They are going to be playing around with some of their new toys like Travis Hunter and whatnot. I think the Jaguars were the unfortunate victims of the fact that any team at any time can be the best team or the worst team in a division. It can swing really hard, really fast. And I think that even though the Jaguars do have a rookie head coach in Liam Cohen, I think that he showed that he knows how to work with quarterbacks. He worked under Dave Canales. He helped with getting Baker Mayfield kind of installed. He comes from the Sean McVay and Pete Carroll coaching trees. So I'm very confident that if anyone can get Trevor Lawrence to be the Trevor Lawrence that he was supposed to be when he was first drafted, this will be the guy to do it. So Jaguars take that. And then Texans Rams are really interesting. It depends on how healthy Houston is. D'Amico Ryans is 1-1 in week one, but pretty shocking stat. Sean McVay is 7-0 in week one. He has never lost a week one game. He's one of the best week one coaches in the league. He may have an old team, but it's week one, so your age doesn't matter if you're Matt Stafford just yet, hopefully. So you're at home. You win it in week one. It's not late on. Rams take it. Houston falls to 0-1, and that caps us off at week one. Next week, Jets versus Bills is self-explanatory. The Jets cannot hang. Miami versus New England. New England is not ready. Again, I think Miami is better than they showed last season. Even if they don't get to where they were 2 seasons ago, it should be plenty to beat the Patriots. This is a interesting game. This Jaguars-Bengals game. It could be a bit of a trap game. I think that the Jaguars can really challenge the Bengals, but man, that's a tricky one. I'm kind of tempted to just say, you know what? The Bengals sometimes kind of start slow, and if there's going to be upsets early in the season, it's going to be games like these, especially in like the first like 3 weeks or so. I think we get a decent upset here. The Bengals bungle away one to Jacksonville. The Ravens are not going to bungle one away to the Browns. The Browns are bad. The Browns will probably get some wins, I'm sure, but they're not getting one this week. Broncos versus Colts. Colts at home. Again, coach edge goes to the Broncos. Quarterback edge goes to the Broncos. Defense edge goes to the Broncos. Home edge goes to the Colts. I don't think that the Broncos lose this one. But again, maybe Anthony Richardson shows up and he is just ready to go. We'll see. Chargers and Raiders. Jim Harbaugh gave Pete Carroll fits all the time. He did it in college at Stanford when Carroll was at USC. He did it in San Francisco when Carroll was with the Seahawks. And he's going to give him fits when he is the coach of the Chargers and Pete Carroll is the coach of the Raiders. These two cannot get away from each other. Now, let's see here. The Raiders are at home, which should give them a theoretical edge. But one thing that's going to neutralize the Raiders a little bit is that the Chargers are going to be one of the strongest rushing teams in the entire league, barring any like injury setbacks or anything like that. I don't know if the Raiders are going to be well equipped to slow them down enough. And if they do overcommit to stopping the run, that's going to open up passing for Justin Herbert. I think that the Chargers are going to be able to take that game, but I think it very well could go either way. Now for the NFC side, we have Washington versus Green Bay. Green Bay at home. This is one that could be interesting. I could coin flip it a little bit. When I think about early season coaching, again, Dan Quinn, not always the strongest in the first couple weeks of the year. Whereas if I come down here to Matt LaFleur again, he's 3-2 in his week 1 games. That usually parlays into like maybe a second win or so. If any team's going to confuse you and make it hard to stop you, it's going to be the Commanders. But I think I'm going to give it to the home team. The Packers get a nice little 2-0 start to their year. But again, I think this one's going to be close. It's going to be a good game. Dallas versus the Giants. I am a push between these two teams. Realistically, like I said, I'm a Russ believer, but I think Dallas takes this game at home. The Giants still have a long way to go to be like a true contending team. I think that they are going to have a couple weeks where they surprise people, but they are also going to play down to the level of certain teams. And in this week, I think they're just going to get muddied up by the Cowboys a little bit. The Saints are going to lose to the San Francisco 49ers. Let's see here. Bears, Lions. I think the Lions, coming off of a week 1 loss to the Packers, are not going to allow themselves to lose this home game. They're going to knock the Bears down. Panthers, Cardinals. It's going to come down. Can the Panthers be able to pressure someone without having to blitz? You got to be able to get home without blitzing. Bryce Young could take another step forward. We don't know yet, but if I have to pick one of the two short kings, I'm going to pick Kyler Murray. And then when it comes to the Vikings and the Falcons, I really think that, man, this is another tough one because, again, it all comes down to how J.J. McCarthy is doing. But if the run game is humming, there's so many weapons. This is a push enough. I'm willing to give it to the home team. I think I personally like the Falcons more, but in this situation, I think I go to Minnesota. I think that Kevin O'Connell is going to be able to straighten the Vikings out, and kind of pick something up here in week 2. And then for the interconference play, wait, are the Rams really playing interconference 2 weeks in a row? Yes, they are. Okay, Seahawks interconference. We always suck against the Steelers. We travel to Pittsburgh and we suck. We suck. Traveling all the way to the East Coast from Seattle sucks. Do I think we can do it and win? Sure. I don't know what time the game is. That's another factor I didn't really look at for any of these. Are these 10 a.m. games PST? Are these 1 p.m. games PST? I'm going to assume morning game. So we're going to go all the way east to the Steelers. It's going to be a little bit of a revenge match for DK Metcalf. He's going to be motivated, which could go either way, honestly, but I think it's not late enough in the season for Aaron Rodgers to be completely blown up yet. I know he's like an ancient 4,000-year-old quarterback wizard who's due to break at any moment, but I don't think he breaks in week 2. I think we give that to the Steelers. Oh my God, Super Bowl rematch. Again, I think that the Chiefs have peaked and they're going to stay high, but I think they're slowly regressing. Whereas I think the Eagles are like squarely in their contending window and they're not really losing any steam, if you ask me. So I've got to go with the away team. I think Philadelphia travels to Kansas City, takes one from the Chiefs in the Chiefs' house. And then lastly, we have Bucks and Texans. Texans home team. Is Tank Dell healthy? I think it's possible that the Texans can win, but I'm leaning Bucks. I think that the AFC South is just getting kind of beaten up on a little bit right now. Like you look at this, you got the Jaguars at 2-0, everyone else is 0-2. I'm like, Jaguars represent. This is your early game season push. Okay, so that's it for week 2. Week 3, Miami and Buffalo. Buffalo's at home. Buffalo wins the game. Interesting game here. I think that we are due for Cam Ward's first win of the year. I think it comes against the Colts. They're at home. They have a strong running attack to keep the game close. And if Anthony Richardson is not firing on all cylinders, if he is not precise, it won't matter that the Titans have an underwhelming defense. They will be able to take that game. Pittsburgh versus New England at home. I just lean Pittsburgh. I don't know. I like Mike Tomlin. He's going to find a way to get that one. Mike Vrabel, I think long-term will be solid for the Patriots, but I think that the hype train is gotten way too hot, way too soon for that team. We need to pour some cold water on the Jaguars season a little bit of a reality check. The Houston Texans are still in it to win it in this division. They'll take a home game away from the Jaguars in week 3. And then the Chargers, as the home team, will be able to hold down the Broncos in their house in week 3. Then when we come over here to the NFC, we have the Rams versus the Eagles. I don't think I think the Rams are good. They're not good enough to beat the Eagles consistently anyway. Falcons Panthers should go to the Falcons, and then Saints Seahawks should go to the Seahawks. Now, interesting game here. Cardinals San Francisco. The Cardinals are a Jekyll and Hyde team. If you followed the history of the Arizona Cardinals in these recent seasons, especially ever since they drafted Wee Man, they have always been hot in the first half of the year and just fall off in the second half of the year, or they suck in the first half of the year and then they take off in the second half of the year. Are they going to still be Jekyll and Hyde, or are they going to finally put together a whole complete winning season? I'm not sold on the 49ers defense. I think they have a lot of holes, especially in the secondary. I think that you have the weapons in Arizona to be able to exploit that. And I also have them mocked as winning their first 2 games. And that means they are Mr. Hyde right now. They're on their high horse, their Hyde horse, if you will. So they're going to keep on winning. They're going to go to 3-0. That'll drop the Niners down to 1-2. And lastly, the Bears and Dallas. I'm really not high on Dallas. I think that every single year they're like a perpetual mirage. I'm going to say Ben Johnson picks up a little something by knocking off Dallas. Bengals, Vikings. Interesting game, but if I have to pick Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase or JJ McCarthy and Justin Jefferson, I'm going to pick Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase to go into Minnesota and pick up that win, baby. The Jets are going to suck. It might be fun to watch Justin Fields run, but they're going to suck. Tampa wins. Raiders, Commanders. Again, I don't know if the Raiders are going to have the defensive ability to be able to contain Jaden Daniels and the Washington attack overall. But if there's two coaches that know each other really well, it's going to be Pete Carroll and Dan Quinn, because Dan Quinn is from Pete Carroll's coaching tree. That being said, one of the main reasons why we moved on from Pete Carroll in Seattle was because even if his defense was stable, his reliance on cover three is very exploitable. I think it's something that Dan Quinn understands. They run the same defense. He knows how to beat his own defense with the tools that he has. I think I lean Washington here. The Packers beat the Browns. Don't have to overthink it. The Chiefs probably... This could be a trap game. Early in the year, this could be a trap game. But I'm not going to let the Chiefs fall to 0-3. So that's going to be Chiefs taking out New York. The seat is getting hot for Russell Wilson at 0-3 to start the year in New York. And then lastly, we got the Ravens and the Lions. Again, this could go either way, but the Ravens are a complete team. And until someone literally lops off Derrick Henry's legs, the dude is like the love child of a bear and a Hummer. He is going to keep plowing on forward and working with Lamar Jackson. You can't stop that ground game if you're the Lions, I don't think. Like, they're one of the more tough-nosed defenses, but I think that the Ravens, especially at home, are going to take that. Week 4. So your Titans or Texans? We go Texans. Ravens, Chiefs. I think Chiefs. They need to start making a comeback. Miami wins. So your Bengals are 2-1. I've got the Broncos at 2-1. So this is going to be an interesting one. Let's go with the Bengals. We're going to go with Jamar Chase again. Even though he can be locked down by Pat Surtain, I think that the Broncos are definitely in this game. But I'm going to go Bengals. Seahawks, Cardinals. This is a primetime game. Seahawks play well in primetime. We're not the home team, but we kind of own the Cardinals. And I think we're going to keep owning the Cardinals. Let's see here. Tampa Bay at home with the Philadelphia Eagles. Very good matchup. The Bucks are the home team. This is a battle of 3-0 teams. Both teams can run the ball. Both teams can pass the ball. But the team with the better pass rush is the Philadelphia Eagles. I think they're more likely to eke that one out, but that one can go either way. I'd be very excited to watch this game if I'm a fan base of either one of these two teams. It should be a good one. Falcons, Washington. I think that Washington takes that. Green Bay beats Dallas. You know what? I need one upset on this side, and the upset has to coincide with a home team. Washington Commanders drop to Falcons. We edit ourselves. Next week. Oh, nope. Not next week. We have the middle games. Oh, international games. So it's not even really a home game for the Steelers. I don't think that Aaron Rodgers is going to travel well. We're going to go Vikings. Then Panthers, Patriots. The Patriots don't have a win on my schedule yet, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they don't. Now they do. Chargers come into New York. Can the G-men, because their strength is their offensive line, can they slow down, not their offensive line, their defensive line? Since the Giants' strength is their defensive line, maybe they can slow down the Chargers just enough to get their win at home. I think we're knocking some of these 0-win situations off the board. Russell Wilson makes stuff happen. He's not going to go to 0-4. Chargers drop this game. The Saints lose basically every game they're in pretty easily. So Bills over the Saints. Lions over the Browns. Okay, home game, Los Angeles versus Indianapolis. The Rams are doing so much interconference play early on. What is going on? Jaguars, 49ers. I think that Liam Cohen's going to have some growing pains in this game. The 49ers are at home. They need to make up ground in the NFC West. They're going to win this game. Raiders, Bears. I'm going to go Raiders on that one. Next up, we are going into week 5, baby. AFC, Houston. So we're going to have CJ Stroud versus Lamar Jackson. Stronger running game with Baltimore. I'd argue better coach with Baltimore, better defense with Baltimore. Baltimore's the home team. Baltimore wins. Raiders should be able to beat the Colts. They have Max Crosby. Now, the Colts do have a theoretically good running game, but I am not... again, it'll come down to Anthony Richardson. Can Anthony Richardson put it together? Until then, I'm going to be very light on calling for them. Buffalo picks up another win. Kansas City and Jacksonville. In Jacksonville. I have the Chiefs at 2-2. Do they keep struggling? I think the Jaguars are potentially a team that has the ability to play up. You know what? We're calling an upset. We're going to call Jaguars over the Chiefs in week 5. On the NFC side, there are fewer games. We've got 49ers and the Rams. Kyle Shanahan versus Sean McVay. That's a classic. I think, let's see, the Rams were pretty damn good in division last year. They're the home team. Let's see here. Where do I have? I have the Rams at 3-1. The Rams are going to be stubborn, but the 49ers aren't going away easy. But I think the Rams take this one. Maybe I'll have the Niners take the crackback later in the season. We'll see how I feel. New York Giants get to pick on the corpse of the Saints and move up to 2-3. And then the Bucks have to travel to Seattle. We've seen this before. I don't think it went Seattle's way last time, but it's going to go Seattle's way this time. Okay. Seattle at 4-1, Rams at 4-1, Cardinals at 3-1. Let's hear it. And we have the Steelers, the Bears, the Packers, and the Falcons taking on the first bye week of the year. Now, I have a rule when it comes to seasons, and that is that an early bye week is bad. And you want to know what makes an early bye week even worse? When your quarterback is a 4,000-year-old conspiracy wizard like Aaron Rodgers. He's going to want to be resting. He wants that breather late in the year, and he ain't going to get it. So that's going to probably cause the Steelers to fade as time goes on. Okay, and then let's hear interdivision play. Browns, Vikings in Britain. Browns, Vikings in Britain. Now, I've got the Browns at 0-4. This is a weird overseas game, which causes weird stuff to happen. I don't think the Browns drop to 0-5. I think we see some rookie miscues from JJ McCarthy. Browns pick up a win. I think the Jets pick up their first win at home as well over the Cowboys. Broncos, Eagles has a chance to be interesting, but it is the Eagles at home, and it is so hard to bet against them. I have the Broncos at 2-2, the Eagles at 4-0. What do we say? What do we say? Do we keep riding the Eagles train, or do the Broncos show up and snatch a game? You know what? I think that no, I don't. Philadelphia Eagles. I was almost tempted, but I don't think the Broncos are the team that is going to slow down the Eagles. Panthers, Dolphins. I think the Dolphins can ride on into there, pick up that win, get out. They have a pretty nice start to their season going on according to this projection. I bet they hope it comes true. Let's see here. Titans and Cardinals. So we got Cam Ward. You know what? Cardinals are due to just randomly drop something. Maybe it's going to be this Titans game. Yeah. I'm going to call an upset. I'm going to say Titans can take a little bit of a bite out of the Cardinals early season, beat them at home. What is this little red guy? Coming off a mini bye. What does a mini bye mean? Just a couple extra days? Oh, well, if that's a couple extra days rest, you know what? A couple extra days rest, cool. They have a little more energy. Sorry, Cam Ward. I take it back. Wee Man wins. Washington and the Chargers. The Chargers are going to have a ball control offense, so they're going to try to keep the ball out of Jaden Daniels' hands as much as possible. I think they have a strong defense, strong enough to be able to limit things. And they're the home team. I'm going to say Chargers. Chargers pick up the win over the Commanders there. And then the Bengals and the Lions. Let's see, where do I have the Lions right now? With the Lions at 2-2 and the Bengals at 3-1. How about you just meet in the middle at 3-2? I think that is a game that very realistically could go to Detroit. Week 6. The Jets lose because they're, again, this is one of those weird overseas games, but I think the Broncos will be able to send the Jets back to the airport with another loss. The Browns and the Steelers. The Steelers are coming off a bye. They're going to be rested. Now, looking back in time, since now I can get more of my research in here, Mike Tomlin and Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin is 13-5 in his career coming off the bye. He started off 6-1. He went 0-3 between 2014 and 2016, and then he's gone 7-1 after the bye since then. Mike Tomlin gets his teams prepared off of these rest periods, and I think he's not going to drop this to the Browns. Chargers take out Miami. Raiders should be able to take down Tennessee, you would hope, at home. And then on the NFC side, the Bears are coming off of their bye, but I have no idea how well Ben Johnson is going to be at rallying his team and preparing off of the bye. Washington takes that game. Dallas over Carolina. Let's see here. San Francisco 49ers have a little more rest here. I've been a little too low on them here. I think they have you know what? If a team is going to be able to attack the 49ers where I think they're at their weakest, and that's their secondary, the Buccaneers are the team that's built to do it. They're one of the best offenses in the entire league, and they're kind of slept on a little bit. And the Niners have been bleeding talent a little bit. I think the slide continues. We go Bucks. Bucks at home. And then the Eagles. How funny would it be if I'm just like, yeah, Russell Wilson is going to snap the Eagles' 5-game winning streak? That would be like a big moment. Do I think it's likely to happen? No, but I would root for it. Eagles, though. For interdivisional play in week 6, we have the Seahawks versus the Jaguars. So the Seahawks have to go to Jacksonville, which is hard. We're going to be sleepy. Jacksonville's going to pick up that win there. Los Angeles versus the Baltimore Ravens. I have the Ravens at 3-2 right now. I have the Rams at 4-1. The Rams are coming off of a mini bye, which is good for Matt Stafford, but I don't think they stop the Ravens. I think the Ravens are the home team. They're going to take a home team win. The Cardinals are currently at 4-1. The Colts are currently at 0-5. Something's got to break. I think the Colts pick up their upset win at home over the still young Cardinals team that is due to have hiccups from time to time. The Saints are not going to beat the Patriots, most likely, even at home. This could literally be a 0-win season for the Saints, especially if they end up trading Kamara. Like, they are not in a good place right now. Bengals, Packers. The Packers are coming off of an actual bye, and coming off of the bye, Matt LaFleur is 2-3. So while the Packers tend to do well in general post-bye, they are either average to below average in the game right after the bye week. So I think that is a droppable game to Cincinnati. Chiefs and Lions. This is going to be another exciting game. You're going to have the gambler, Dan Campbell, against the cheeseburger-eating, Super Bowl trophy hoisting, one of the greatest head coaches of all time, Andy Reid. Gonna have Patrick Mahomes in there. Gonna have Jared Goff, the Goffinator. I think, again, the Chiefs are not gonna fall to 2-4. They're gonna go 3-3. The Lions will be at 3-3. We have a lot of parity because we have so many of the best teams running into each other at the same time right now. Now, this last game here, Falcons versus the Buffalo Bills. Raheem Morris is average to below average coming off of a bye week. And I don't think that being average off of the bye week and your home field advantage are enough to allow the Falcons to necessarily take down Buffalo. But if there is going to be one reason why the Falcons could win, oh, sorry, let me lean out of the way. There's going to be one way that the Falcons could win. It's going to be ball control. They are one of the better running teams in the league. They can keep the ball out of Josh Allen's hands, and Buffalo relies on explosive talent. You know what? I'm going to call explosive plays, I should say. I'm going to call an upset. We're going to go Falcons. Falcons over the Bills week 6 at home, at their home. Week 7, AFC side, Bengals, Steelers. We're going to go Bengals because I think that the Steelers, while they're hot right now, are going to start to fade as time goes on. Titans versus Patriots. I've got the Titans at 1-5 right now. I've got the Patriots at 2-4. I think that Cam Ward can pick up a win here. We go Tennessee at home. Now, let's see here. We got Raiders, Chiefs. Las Vegas going into Kansas City. I think that this could potentially be a trap game for the Chiefs. Obviously, the edge still goes to the Chiefs. But, again, I think that they're a team that is going to start to show weakness around this season. I don't know why, I just feel it. And the Raiders have like this weird little 2-season window where I think they can be really competitive. And I think that the Raiders can go into Kansas City and take a win off the Chiefs. The Browns at home against Miami. I don't think Miami's going to be fully recovered. I think I've been a little too hot on the Dolphins at this point, putting them at 4-2. I think you get some cold water poured on them. Kevin Stefanski coaches the Browns to a win over Miami in week 7. And then the Chargers should be able to dispatch the Colts and push them further down. Let's see here. You got a mini bye for the Eagles and a full bye for the Vikings. As far as Minnesota goes, Kevin O'Connell is 2-1 coming off of the bye week. So he's at least been positive so far, but he could just as easily lose this game and go back to average, and that's exactly what he's going to do. The Eagles are going to go into Minnesota and keep their win streak alive. The Bears should be able to beat the Saints because everybody should be able to beat the Saints. I think that the Packers come in and they take a game off of the Cardinals. With Dallas versus the Commanders here, I think the Commanders should be able to handle Dallas just fine. Dan Quinn and Brian Schottenheimer know each other very well, but that means that whoever is more talented should win, and I think that the Commanders are significantly more talented than the Cowboys are. Falcons, 49ers. The Falcons are slightly above 500 right now. The 49ers are slightly below 500 right now. The 49ers are the home team, and I think that the 49ers are going to win. So we're going to have the 49ers hold on to take out the Falcons in week 7. And then lastly, the Bucks and the Lions. This should be just a really fun game. These two teams are going to score a lot, I think. And they both have ways to get around and over each other pretty consistently. I think I want to favor the home team, so I'm going to go with Detroit here. But this is still a really fun game that I would be circling on my calendar if I am a Bucks or a Lions fan. The Bucks have had a few good games so far. So we're going to go next to week 8. AFC games. We have a bye week for the Jaguars, the Raiders, the Lions, the Cardinals, the Rams, and the Seahawks. So most of the NFC West is taking a nap this week, it looks like. And then the Lions and the Jaguars are also taking cat naps. And then the Raiders are just there vibing too. AFC, we've got Jets, Bengals. Bengals should win that. They're also coming off of a mini bye, so they have a little extra rest. Browns, Patriots. This is one of those ones that I think could get really, really ugly, but the Patriots are at home. So in a really, really ugly game, I favor the home team. And then for Tennessee versus the Colts, I think the Colts have been dropping a little too far, too fast. They defend their home. They take the Titans down. On the NFC side, we've got the Giants versus the Eagles again. Man, I like the Giants, but their early season is hard. What the hell? They're just running into a wall. I think that all good things have to come to an end. The Eagles are eventually going to lose a game, and I think they might lose their first game to the Giants. Just depends on if it's in Philadelphia or in New York. So I'm just going to split the difference. The Giants get an upset win. The Bucks put the Saints away. And then we get into our interconference play. I think that the Chargers should be able to control the ball and handle the Vikings. I think that, again, provided they're healthy, DeMeco Ryans and the Texans should be able to beat the Niners, I would think. But at the same time, Kyle Shanahan is very creative with his offense, and he knows DeMeco Ryans very well. So if anyone's going to hit him hard, it would be Shanahan for being familiar with him. But at the same time, the Texans, I have them at 2-3 right now, even though they're 2-0 in their own division. I think they need to win this game to really stay competitive, whereas the NFC West is very tight still. So we're going to see the Texans pull this off. Bills coming off of a bye week, coming off of a true bye. Sean McDermott is 6-2. No, he's 8-0. Sean McDermott is one of the best coaches in the league at coming off of the bye and just smacking you around. So that's what the Bills are going to do. They're going to come off of the bye and they're going to beat up the Panthers. Dolphins coming into Atlanta. I think, again, Atlanta should be able to handle Miami. I don't think Miami is as bad as they were last season, but again, like I said, I don't think they're going to be as good as they were 2 seasons ago. This is a droppable game for the Dolphins, and I think that's what's going to happen. The Ravens, coming off of a bye week, are going to be playing Ben Johnson, and the Bears. I just think that goes to the Ravens. Like, here's why. I'm going to find my Baltimore part right here. Okay. John Harbaugh is one of the most veteran coaches in the league, right? You have a big sample size for him. John Harbaugh is 12-5 in week 1, and he's 13-4 after the bye. There are a few coaches who are better at preparing their team after a break than Harbaugh. Probably either Harbaugh, but John Harbaugh especially. And they're at home. Home field advantage, preparation advantage, talent advantage, experience advantage. It's just all Ravens all day long. They take this win. Broncos, Dallas. I think that you lock up CeeDee Lamb with Pat Surtain and you phone it in for the rest of the game, and then you beat Dallas. For the Steelers, they're coming off of a little mini bye here. Packers coming into the Steelers home. I think the Steelers could potentially pick up this win. We got the Packers leading their division 5-1, the Steelers at 4-2. Do I give it to the Steelers? Do I call this an upset? Because this is like one of those trademark games that Mike Tomlin just gets. You know what? Steelers. We're going to say Steelers. And then Chiefs Commanders. I think the Chiefs. I have the Chiefs at 3-4 right now. The Commanders at a healthy 4-3. Man, it's tricky. There's so many good teams playing each other at the same time early on in this year. There's not a ton of like complete cupcake matches that are just like super easy to call. I kind of want to favor the home team in a toss-up, but I have too many home teams winning, and there's got to be a little more variance. So I'm going to say Washington comes in, upsets the Chiefs at home to top off week 8 on Monday. Monday Night Football. That gets us like halfway through the year. So we're going into week 9. We have the Chargers on top of the AFC West and the Chiefs at the bottom. I feel like there's going to be a correction somewhere in there. I think I'm maybe a little too hot on the Chargers. We'll see. But Chargers, Raiders in 2nd, Broncos in 3rd, Chiefs in 4th. So the Chiefs are going to have to make up some ground here. Bills comfortably ahead with the Dolphins ahead of the Patriots and the Jets to hold on to their 2 spot. And then we've got the Bengals, Ravens, and Steelers at 5-2 and 6-2, with the Browns trailing behind at 2-6. The Jaguars at 4-2, Texans at 3-3, Colts at 2-6, and Titans at 2-6. So we've got right now, I think, a playoff picture that looks like the Chargers, Raiders, Bills, Bengals, Ravens, Steelers, and Jaguars at the moment. And then on the NFC side, we've got the Eagles and the Commanders. Eagles at 7-1, Commanders at 5-3, Giants 3-4, Cowboys 2-6. Again, probably need a little correction on that side of things, but we'll see. Packers at 5-2, Lions at 4-3, Vikings 3-4, Bears 2-5. This is a spread that I could very realistically see for these teams at this point in the season. NFC West could literally be anything. I think any team could be the best team, and any team could be the worst team in this division. So maybe my bias is a little strong having the Seahawks tied at the top, but the Seahawks were 1 game away from winning this division and going to the playoffs last year, so I don't think it's outside of the realm of possibility. And then lastly, Bucks Falcons in the NFC South, with the Panthers and Saints just stinking it up right now. Realistically, if Dave Canales is 0-7 at this point, he's going to be fired. So I don't think he's actually going to be 0-7 at this point, but yeah. Okay, let's see here. Teams going into a bye this week are the Browns, the Jets, the Bucks, and the Eagles. AFC, Baltimore takes out Miami. Texans take down Denver. The Chargers have a little bit of a rest. Do I say that the Chargers keep going forward? Yes, I do. The Steelers should be able to take out the Colts. This is an interesting game. Both teams coming off of a bye. Liam Cohen comes from the Pete Carroll coaching tree, and then he's going to be against Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll himself coming off of the bye week, if I come down here to Las Vegas, is all-time 7-9. So Pete Carroll is actually not the best coach historically at preparing his team and giving them momentum coming out of the game, specifically right after the bye week. And because of that, I think I want to give it to the Jags. I think the Jags can knock off the Raiders in their house. And then big game, Chiefs and Buffalo. It's in Buffalo, but the Chiefs really need this win. So the Chiefs are going to get it. They're going to find a way to get that win, go in there. They're not done just yet, and they need to make a late season surge to get back into the AFC West contention. Panthers and Packers. The Panthers have historically been an okay road team, if I remember right. And I don't know. I think it's just because I have them at 0-7. I think we're going to give them their upset away road win coming into the Packers' house. We're not quite in the dead of winter yet, so you don't get that Lambeau frigid freeze just yet. And now we're going to have Minnesota coming off of a mini bye versus the Lions coming off of a bye. And Detroit... Dan Campbell is the strangest coach. He is one of the few coaches on here when I was looking up stats who had a tie either in week 1 or after the bye. He is literally 1-1-1 coming off of a bye. He is literally as random as it could be. They are the home team. I think I may be a little bit too low on the Vikings, perhaps, but I only have the Vikings 1 game behind the Lions at this point. So I think the Lions at home, coming off of a bye, more certainty with that team. I give it to the Lions. Here's going to be another game that some people might see as an upset. I'm going to go Giants over the 49ers. Specifically because you have one of the best wide receivers, or one of the most exciting up-and-coming wide receivers in the league with Malik Neighbors, and you have a guy, presumably at this point still, who can deliver the ball to him. Russell Wilson knows how to play the 49ers. He has good success against them. I think that the Giants will be able to make things difficult for the 49ers going all the way to the East Coast. Again, that's not easy to do. I feel like It's really understated how disadvantageous it is for a West Coast team to go to an East Coast house and play an East Coast game at 10 a.m. Pacific time. It is hard as hell. Rams hold off against the Saints at home. They're also coming off of a bye. And then Sean McVay, I believe, he's okay coming off of a bye. He started 3-1. He's slipped to 4-3 after the bye, but that's still good. We know that he knows how to prepare his teams. Like I said, he's the best week one coach in the league at 7-0. Seahawks, Commanders. Again, we're coming off of a bye. Mike Macdonald only has 1 week of data to go off of for how he prepares a team after a bye. He's 1-0 in week 1. He's 1-0 after the bye, but that bye came at San Francisco, which is at the very least, even though it's a division rival, it is still the West Coast. Seahawks to the Commanders for a very likely morning game. I think we see McDonald regress to the mean, go 1-1 after the bye, and the Commanders pick up that win. And then the Cardinals coming off of a bye, they are 0-1 coming off of a bye. They're 0-1 in week 1, but Arizona's games under Jonathan Gannon last season, their week 1 game was against Buffalo. That's a fair game to lose. And their after bye loss was to Seattle in Seattle, which is a fair loss to have. I'm still just not very high on Dallas. I don't know if the Cardinals have someone who can really slow down CeeDee Lamb too much, and the Cowboys are not devoid of talent, and the Cardinals are still a young team that can drop games. So I'm going to say Cowboys pick up the win over the Cardinals this time around. Chicago Bears coming to Cincinnati. I really lean Cincinnati with that. Rookie head coaches traveling is tricky. Granted, it's not a long trip, but you're against Jamar Chase. I don't know if the Bears are going to be able to stop the Bengals offense, but that could be an interesting trap game. And then the Falcons should be able to beat the Patriots to bring their record to 5-3 and drop the Patriots down to 3-6, just to cap off week 9. Entering week 10, we've got the Raiders and the Broncos. This is a interesting interdivisional play kind of game. The Broncos are at home. I think the Raiders are actually going to get after Bo Nix, pick up that win, because they have one of the better tools to be able to do it. And if Ashton Genty is firing on all cylinders, they will be able to control the ball, keep the score close, and then hopefully strike when the time is right. Texans are not going to let the Jaguars just completely run away with the AFC South. They are going to come in and they are going to take a win from the Jaguars. It's their house. They have the advantage. They should be able to do it. Oh my God. It's the Tank Bowl. It's the battle of who is just the shittier team. Is it the Browns or is it the Jets? With two bad teams like this, like I have nothing to go off of for Aaron Glenn as a coach realistically. If I were to look at Aaron Glenn, he's obviously from Dan Campbell's coaching tree, but he's also from the trees like more extended from like Mike Pettine and Dennis Allen and a bunch of people who are just like kind of meh, like 500 head coaches. I'm not super high necessarily. I think that he's one of those guys who will be a really good defensive coordinator and then kind of flame out as a head coach. But the Browns are bad, but I don't think they're bad enough that they're going to lose to Justin Fields and the Jets. I think the Jets drop another one. The Browns pick up a little win to feel good about themselves. You get to polish that turd a little bit and feel a little bit better. We've got Miami at home. This is in the winter when Miami's home field heat advantage really starts kind of wearing out. I think the Bills should be able to go in there and take the Dolphins down. We're now getting late into the season as well. The Steelers are well away from the bye week that they had earlier in the year. They're traveling back across the country to Los Angeles to play the Chargers, to play a very rough ground and pound kind of game. I think the Chargers end up out-punching the Steelers and coming away with that win. On the NFC side, the Giants should take down the Bears. The Panthers should take down the Saints. Interesting game. Seahawks at home. We've kind of owned the Cardinals recently. I think that we're just going to keep doing that until it's been proven otherwise. I think the Rams take out the Niners. I think they're just a better team this season. The Lions and the Commanders, very interesting game. I think the Commanders are at home and they take that win. And then lastly, Philadelphia versus Green Bay. Green Bay's at home. You're starting to get into the winter. It's starting to get a little chilly in Lambeau. Philadelphia, coming off of a bye week under Nick Sirianni. I know I have it in here. They are 3-1 coming off the bye week. So he so far has been able to prepare his team coming out of the bye to win these games. And you know what? Credit to Sirianni. I know he gets random shit from Philadelphia fans. I don't know if you realize, like, he is one of the highest winning percentage head coaches of like all time. His worst season was still a good season, and a lot of people would kill to have a coach who's winning like this. So, you know, it's possible that we're witnessing one of the better coaches in the history of the league doing his thing right now. So while I think Matt LaFleur is good, Sirianni is better, and Sirianni's team is more talented. I'm going with the Eagles. Random game in Germany. Falcons versus home game Colts. Random EU shenanigans happens. Colts beat the Falcons in a really gritty, pounded out, run the ball game. You get Bijan Taylor versus Bijan Robinson. Oh my God, I'm mixing their names up. You get Bijan Robinson versus Jonathan Taylor just running it and gashing each other over and over again. That'll be a ground and pound kind of game, and I think the Colts can sneak it. Vikings versus Baltimore. Baltimore has a little extra rest. This is in Minnesota. Minnesota plays in a dome, so the fact that it's cold doesn't matter. Am I so low on the Vikings that I drop them to 3-6 here? Or am I so high on the Ravens that I drop them to 3-6? Yes, I am. The Ravens have a little extra rest, they prepare well, and they beat the Vikings. And then the Bucks should be able to take care of business against the Patriots. Just to confirm down here for Tampa Bay, Todd Bowles is, you know what? Todd Bowles is 2-5 after the bye. Dude drops games after his team takes a nap. We're going to give it to the Patriots. That's going to be another upset game. Okay, week 11. So I got every game right? Yeah. Okay. So we got the Colts and Saints on bye. Jets, Patriots. I think the Jets are able to pick up a win here. I think that the Patriots are going to be a team that is going to be vulnerable to weird shenanigans this season. And if any team is going to weird shenanigans them, it would be the Jets. So we're going to see some Jet shenanigans. Titans, Texans. Brian Callahan, how are you coming off the bye in your only week? 0-1, you lost to the Colts. Now you're going to be 0-2 when you lose to the Texans. AFC North game. Cincinnati comes into Pittsburgh. It's late in the season. Aaron Rodgers' arm has either fallen off or he has lost his mind, or DK Metcalf has thrown him through a table or something by this point. The Bengals pick up the win. You're going to start seeing the Steelers fading back, I think, at this point. Chargers come across the country to Jacksonville, who I think, again, is going to be a better team this year by an order of magnitude than they were last year. Jacksonville takes the win off of the Chargers, cooling them down just a little bit. The Chiefs, coming off of a bye week. Kansas City, Andy Reid, coming off of the bye week, has... I've divided his stints into halves. So in Philadelphia, in his two halves of his coaching tenure with Philadelphia, Andy Reid was 5-3 and 4-2 coming off of the bye. With Kansas City, he's 4-2 and 5-1 coming off of the bye. Andy Reid is coming off of the bye, baby, and he's going to beat the Broncos over the head with that extra rest. And then the Ravens should beat the Browns, you would think. Bears versus Vikings. I think that the Vikings should be able to pick up this win. They're a little low in my standings right now, and the Bears are, again, tedious for me. So I feel pretty comfortable doing that. The Falcons come back from getting kind of upset a little bit to play the Panthers this week. This should be kind of a get-right game at home. I think they take it. New York has been on a little bit of a surge, but I think that Green Bay dumps some cold water on that, picks up that win, and we see the Giants just kind of cool off to 5-5. But hey, you're 5-5. You're happy if you're the Giants right now. You're in a position where you could potentially try to eke out a wild card seed still. Seahawks go into the Rams. This is late in the season, so it's possible that Matthew Stafford has fallen off a cliff as well. But I think that the Rams will end up winning this game. I think the Niners will end up taking a win off of the Cardinals. And then we've got Lions, Eagles. Another explosive game. The Lions need this win, and it keeps things interesting in the NFC North. So I think the Lions, I think Dan Campbell comes in, plays tough, and does what needs to be done to get that win and keep pace with the Packers. The Eagles, they're still 8-2. They're chilling. Spain! Game in Spain. Again, weird stuff happens when teams travel. I think, let's see here, is this a trap game for Washington against the Dolphins? I think the Dolphins, that I have the AFC East too low in general. I think this is a trap game for the Commanders, and the Dolphins end up taking the international game. Buccaneers versus the Bills. The Bills, I still think, are one of the best 2-3 teams in the league. They're going to be at home. They're going to be at home in November, where it's cold as hell, and that will limit the Bucs passing attack. So I think that the Bucs are going to struggle there, and Buffalo is going to be able to play in the cold. Dallas coming off a bye, who knows? I think Raiders just beat Dallas. I'm not going to put too much thought into it. I feel good about that. Week 12. Texans at home. Buffalo travels. Buffalo comes off of a cold win, comes into the Texans' house. DeMeco Ryans is one of the better defensive coaches in the league. I think they can figure out a way to slow Josh Allen down and take a mild upset. For Houston, let's see here. We go for Indianapolis. Shane Steichen is 1-1 after a bye, but his win came against Miami last season, which was like, you're just beating the crap out of someone who's already beaten up. Like, that's not even fair. That's just rude. I think we're going to go Chiefs. I think we're going to go Bengals. I think we're going to go Ravens. We have a streak of home game wins here. The Raiders should be able to beat the Browns. I think you have an upset game here where the Vikings take a game off of the Packers. I think that Detroit should be able to handle New York at home. Falcons should beat the Saints. Eagles should beat Dallas. The Rams, I'm going to say Bucks beat the Rams. They've been sliding a little bit. So that if there's going to be any time where the Rams start dropping games, it's going to be late in the year. And then lastly, we'll have Panthers, Niners. I think the Niners should be able to handle that. But again, if the Panthers find their pass rush, it's going to be interesting. Ravens, Bengals, a battle atop the AFC North. I got to go for the multifaceted team. The Ravens are just so good at controlling the ball, and it's so hard to stop them on the ground that you have to overcommit to stop the run, and it makes it so much easier to pass. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars should be able to beat Tennessee. I think that the Texans, coming off of a little extra rest, should be able to beat the Colts. I think you get an upset game where the Raiders take a game off of the Chargers, because you have to do that split between Harbaugh and Carroll. They're going to split games. And then the Bills should be able to beat the Steelers. Another important game here. Lions at home. Can they extend their slight lead against the Packers, or is this going to get tight? Because the Lions are at home and not having to deal with the Packers in winter, I think the Lions take it. They hold on to that spot. The Eagles should beat the Bears. I think the Bucks should beat the Cardinals, but that's an interesting game. I think the Rams, you know what? Panthers at home, late in the season, trap game. Panthers. Vikings come into Seattle at home. Seattle takes the win there. Cowboys, Chiefs. Let's do... The Chiefs still have to be surging, because in this situation we've got them kind of falling behind some stuff. Let's see here. We've got the Dolphins should be able to win. I think that Mike McDaniel is good coming off of, he's 2-1 after the bye, 2-0 before last season. So I think he comes off the bye. They do fine, and it's the Saints, and they're at home. Falcons should beat the Jets. I think the Browns could take an ugly game over the 49ers, because the 49ers have to travel east, and the Browns are going to drag you down into the mud, and the Niners are not going to be as good at fighting in the mud as they have been in prior seasons, I don't think. Interesting game here. Broncos, Commanders. So when I look at the Commanders, Dan Quinn is 1-0 after the bye with Washington, and 4-2 after the bye in total in his career, dating back to when he was the head coach of the Falcons. For Denver, Sean Payton. Where is Denver? There they are. After a bye, Sean Payton is 11-5-1 all time, so he's actually exceptional. He was 1-0 after the bye last year, and that's when the Broncos really started to heat up. And then he was 10-5-1 with the Saints. I think you get your upset game here. Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos go to Washington, and they manage to pick up a win. New York beats the Patriots, and then that wraps up Week 13. Week 14, Miami over New York Jets, Baltimore over the Steelers, Jaguars. Do the Jaguars drop a game to the Colts here? I'm going to say random bullshit go. Colts win. Titans, Browns. Again, ugly game. You can take advantage of a young quarterback a little bit in Cam Ward. I think we see the home team dragging out another win here. This is going to be the point where Denver starts surging. So Denver over the Raiders. It's your short rest for the Bengals. Buffalo is still leading their division 2. Let's see here. You're going into Buffalo. It's cold as hell. You're from Cincinnati. It's not exactly warm in Cincinnati. I think if I had to call it, I'm going to say Buffalo. I think this is one of Buffalo's most important years, and if they're going to really, really show up, I think they have to win that game. The Texans do not need to win this game, but the Chiefs do, and the Chiefs will. Lions beat Dallas. Packers at home beat the Bears. Washington should beat the Vikings. Seahawks, we beat the Falcons in their house already. But do we do it again? I think we drop this one. I think the Seahawks drop this game to the Falcons. Bucks should beat the Saints. And then the Cardinals have one of their weird little Jekyll and Hyde moments. They win their home game against the Rams. And then big game, according to my schedule, Chargers have been sliding a little bit lately. I think that they're going to be able to slow down the Eagles. You see the Eagles take a loss. And that wraps up Week 14. Week 15, we've got the Chargers and the Chiefs. The Chiefs are at home. The Chiefs need to win, and the Chiefs do win. That keeps them alive in the playoff hunt. You have the Bengals and the Ravens. Again, what did I do for the Bengals and the Ravens earlier? I went Ravens at home. I think we do a home split. Bengals take the home game. Buffalo beats the Patriots. Jacksonville beats the Jets. And again, I think that Steelers are going to be fading fast by this point. Miami picks up a win. Quietly, Miami has a solid season under their belt right now. But you're in that weird curse of being good enough that you don't get a good draft pick, but not good enough for a playoff position so far. Falcons, Bucks. Falcons, Bucks. Bucks are at home. I think Bucks are going to take it. The Falcons faded a little bit towards the end of last season, and I think they could do that again, potentially. For the Commanders and the Giants, I think this could be a trap game for Washington. I think I think that New York is going to take that game off of the Commanders. For the Lions and the Rams, again, this is late in the season. I know that they're coming in. I think it's going to be Detroit taking the Rams down. The Panthers should be able to pick up the Saints. I think that Dallas picks up a necessary win just for their morale more than anything over the Vikings. I didn't get the interdivisional play. I'm about to leave games behind. Let's see here. Texans are in a very tight race. The Cardinals need this win to stay alive. I think they do it to keep things interesting. They're not a bad enough team where I think they should be eliminated at this point. Same goes for the 49ers coming off of their bye week, because the 49ers are 4-3 overall after the bye and 4-1 in their last 5. Shanahan gets them ready to play. Bears, I think they pick up a win over the Browns. Eagles, Raiders, I think should go to the Eagles. The Eagles are at home. Seahawks at home should beat the Colts. And then as far as Denver and the Packers go, the Pack doesn't necessarily care about the cold in Denver, but they might care about the altitude. And that's something that Denver is going to be uniquely prepared for at Mile High at this time of year. I'm going to say they continue just having hot second halves, like post-bye seasons, and take that win off of the Packers. So we're in week 16. Chiefs, Ravens, Bills, Denver at home, Texans, Bengals. I'm just speed running now. We're speed running. We go Rams. We have the Seahawks are going to flub something up. They always do. I think Packers should take the Bears. The Eagles should take Commanders. But it's going to be, you know what? Interesting game. I'm going to say Commanders at home, actually. Vikings over the Giants. Buccaneers. Do I go Buccaneers over the Panthers? Do they need this game? They do. And then the Cardinals, I think, need this game more than the Falcons do, and they're at home, so they'll take that win. They're going to be right in the thick of it. For week 16. Week 17. Chiefs at home, put a little cold water on the Broncos' rise. Texans. Do the Texans go into the Chargers and take that win? No, I don't think they do. Jaguars over the Colts. Patriots over the Jets. Browns over the Steelers. Washington. Minnesota or the Lions. Trap game. Vikings take that. Seahawks go to the East Coast and trip and bust their knee open. Panthers get a sneaky win. Bears 49ers. I think the Bears should be able to pick that up. late in the season. The Rams have a little extra rest, which could be important. Do I go Falcons? The Falcons really need this to be healthy in their position. I think the Rams on a little extra rest are going to travel. You're going to have a good game out of them late in the year. They're not just going to completely collapse. And then now we have the last games of the season. We are going to have the Chiefs and the Raiders. It would be really funny if the Raiders won, so I'm going to do it. And then the Broncos versus the Chargers. The Broncos coming off a little rest. The Broncos are at home. I think they take that win. God, that's going to be a scary AFC West if that plays out like that. Houston gets a win. The Bengals get a win. The Bills get a win. Miami drops a game to the Patriots. Ravens should be able to put Steelers away. Jacksonville picks up a win. Cardinals, Rams. I say Cardinals. I say Seahawks. I say we go with the Packers. I feel like Detroit should win that. The Falcons should win that. Dallas should win that. I gave the Commanders a trap win over Philly. It's not going to happen twice. You got and of course, there's going to be situations where some of these teams are resting their starters, but I'm just assuming that starters aren't getting rested. We'll have Tampa Bay pick up that right there. That's week 18. I just realized I'm stupid. I missed some of the interdivisional games. This has been recording since like 7 a.m. Pacific time, I want to say. So just to clear it up and make sure that we get everything exactly as it should be. Chargers versus Dallas. Dallas at home. You know what? We'll give Dallas a win. And then Jets versus Saints. The Saints don't go completely winless. They're at home. They can take one off the Jets. Steelers versus Detroit. Detroit should win that. Colts versus San Francisco. San Francisco should win that. And then let's see here, make sure we're good on the 15th. We're good on the 15th. And then we got the 29th. Raiders at home or the Giants. Raiders at home or the Giants. I think the Giants pull off the road upset. Russell Wilson gets a little revenge game against Pete Carroll. And then Ravens versus Green Bay in Green Bay. If there is a team that's built to beat Green Bay in the winter in Lambeau, you would think it would be the running team, Baltimore, but it's hard for me to go against Lambeau. The Lambeau home field advantage is very strong. You have the Cardinals, and they're on the road going to Cincinnati, again, West Coast to East Coast. I think this is an important game for the Bengals as far as seeding position and whatnot is concerned, so I think the Bengals take that. Saints versus Tennessee. I think Tennessee picks up a win for Cam Ward. Buccaneers versus Miami. I think we go with the Bucs there. And then lastly, Buffalo versus Philadelphia. A potential Super Bowl preview. I think since Buffalo is at home, we get the Buffalo win right there. And then there's no interdivisional games there. And now we can sort out our wild card round. It's playoff time. In the wild card round, we have the Bengals versus the Chiefs, the Chargers versus the Jaguars, and the Texans versus the Ravens, representing the AFC side of the bracket. And then on the NFC side, we have Philadelphia versus Seattle, Green Bay versus Washington, and Atlanta versus Tampa Bay. Quick and dirty of it, AFC, Bengals, Chiefs. I'm going to go Chiefs. Jaguars, Chargers. I'm going to go Chargers. And Texans, Ravens. I'm going to go Ravens. I think that the Texans are still a step below the very top of the AFC. And then on the NFC side, I think that Philadelphia will beat the Seahawks. I just think there's too much to stop. I think that Washington takes down Green Bay because they were not fortunate enough to have home field advantage for this game. And then the Bucks are not quite ready to step aside yet, and they will take this NFC South playoff matchup and knock the Falcons off to move on to the next round. Into the divisional round, Chiefs, Ravens. I think the Ravens finally get one up on Patty Mahomes and pick up the win as the home team here. And then I think the Bills take the Chargers down. I still am very high on the Chargers, but this feels like the Bills' year. I could see either of these games going either way. I think the Chargers maybe are a half a step behind, but they're knocking on this door. I feel it. On the NFC side, I think that both Washington and the Bucks have very multifaceted, high-octane offenses, but I think that the Commanders are going to win this game with a better defense on the road. And then for Detroit and Philadelphia, I think it is not quite time for Dan Campbell's Lions to make it to the Super Bowl. It's going to be tricky to take out Nick Sirianni and the Eagles, provided obviously no injuries or anything like that. So I'm going to go Eagles for that game. That takes us to the conference championships. In the AFC championship, we have the Bills and the Ravens. I could really go either way, flip a coin, but again, this feels like Buffalo's year. They've been building to it for a while, and if this is going to be the year, this is going to be the year that they make it. And if they don't make it, I think they may not see any Super Bowls at all. So let's see if Sean McDermott, Josh Allen, and everyone in Buffalo can get it done to reach the big game. And then for Washington versus Philadelphia, I think that Philadelphia is going to be able to put Washington away one more time. And lastly, Super Bowl, Philadelphia and Buffalo. We're giving it to Buffalo. It's about damn time that the Bills won a Super Bowl. This poor franchise had to suffer back-to-back-to-back-to-back Super Bowl losses. And now they've been struggling just to even reach the game. I think it is time we get to see Josh Allen and company lift the trophy. But yeah, that is my prediction of the NFL 2025-2026 season. Hopefully you enjoyed having a weird little blue VTuber internet man doing your NFL predictions. Before I go, again, if you like this and want to see more from me, please leave a like, please comment, let me know what you think. Throw a subscription my way. I'd really appreciate it, and it's free. And then also, before I go, I'd like to thank my partners, my sponsors, who help pay for some of these videos and also get me snacks for my dog. The first is Gamersups. Gamersups is clean energy. You're not going to have a bad crash afterwards. One tub contains about 100 servings. You can literally make this thing last for months if you needed it. And now it also comes in cans, so if you don't want to deal with the powder in the water, you can have it pre-mixed. And then for my other partner, Control is an alternative meal shake, high in protein, very healthy. So if you're wanting to have something for when you're working out or on the go, Control is a great option for that. So thank you for watching. Thank you to my sponsors. I hope you'll have a wonderful day, and I will catch you next time.